Okay, so I want to talk about something that happened to me last Saturday. And if you follow me on Twitter, I mentioned it that now I guess, even though I haven't done anything with this particular organization, but I'm a financial education volunteer for the Virginia Co-op Extension. And the organization, or almost the organization, they have like all these different programs for helping people get on the right track with their finances, and they may have classes that are in a group setting or one-on-one financial counseling. But anyway, the training was 6 hours for 2 Saturdays, so a total of 12 hours of training. And it was a very interesting group of people. I was very impressed with the backgrounds of the individuals who were attending the class. And the good thing about the class was that it was, interactive. And so it wasn't like, a boring 6 hours. And so you really got a chance to, kind of interact with the other volunteers and ask questions. And the instructor was very engaging. So during the last class, one of the volunteers, another volunteer, she asked about, when it comes to the one-on-one financial counseling, in her experience, in the instructor's experience, do you have a hard time with getting people to accept responsibility for their current situation? And another volunteer, I could kind of tell that she didn't like that language as far as having people take responsibility for their actions. Because if you tell someone that basically the situation you're in is your fault, they may be offended by that honesty. And I personally, I know that when, people are in a rough financial situation and they're seeking out your counsel, your job is not to judge them. But I think that a lot of value can be obtained from accepting that your current situation is partly your fault. Now, I'm not going to say that bad things don't happen to good people and that good things don't happen to bad people, or that, everything in life that we have is 100% our fault, 100%, something that we have control over. I'm not going to say that. But a lot of people, and many times, the things that happen to us, we have some control over it. And even after those things happen to you, you still have control over how you're going to react to those particular situations. So I do want to talk about personal responsibility, especially in finance, because what can happen is you spend so much of your energy, complaining and, it's somebody else's fault, it's somebody else's problem. If, my husband wouldn't have left me, or if my kids weren't so irresponsible, you don't have a lot of control over people's actions, but again, you do have a lot of control over how you respond to them. So if your husband leaves you, and personally, don't get mad at me, but I've never been left by a husband. Not that I've never been rejected by a man. That's happened more than once, more than I care to admit. But I've never been married, so I've never had to go through that rejection. But if your husband leaves you high and dry, it's unfortunate. But I wouldn't say that it's perfectly acceptable for you to wallow in grief for the next decade because your husband left you and live off food stamps and blame your husband for what's going on for the rest of your life. The same way, like if your kids are irresponsible. I know some people where, I'll say you can't really control the kids, but some people, like, they have all these kids and all the kids turn out bad. You have to ask yourself, maybe, you're a bad parent. I'm sorry to say that, and I hate to be judgmental, but maybe it's true. If all your kids end up in jail, it could be because you're not very good. But anyway, so, I wouldn't focus my energy, and I would recommend that you not do that on things that you have absolutely no control over. Like, you can't control your children. You can't control your ex-husband. You can't control your supervisor. You can control you. And to the extent that they've wronged you and you're suffering from the things that they've done, it is your problem. It's not really their problem. I mean, you ever notice how you really dislike someone or you hate them and they go on about their merry way? They're not thinking about you. It's the same way sometimes when I'm driving, because I've been told I'm not a very good driver. And on occasion, I piss people off. And they get really upset with me. And I'm like, I bet I ruined their day. But I'm happy. I'm okay. I go on. I carry on. And they're miserable. I could care less. I don't know who they are. So, to the extent that I've done something to wrong them, I don't care. And I'm not going to do anything to make it right. Because it's not even something that concerns me. So it's the same way when someone wrongs you and, their actions cause you to suffer financially, they negatively impact you. To the extent that this person thinks that it's not their problem, they're not going to do anything about it. They're not going to take responsibility for it. You have to take responsibility for it. And so, I may not say that to somebody who I'm, counseling, when it comes to their finances. At some point, you fill out the person, you have to know that you're in a position of trust, and you kind of can get a feel for people and what may or may not offend them. But, at the same time, I'm talking to you, and I'm not counseling you. You may be in a vulnerable situation, but you're not in front of me. So I'm just going to go ahead and say buck up and accept responsibility for your problems, even if you didn't cause them.